Welcome back, and in this video we're going to take a look at how to create an arc. Now typically when you start using AutoCAD a lot further or with more commands that we learn, you're going to see that sometimes you don't have to create this arc. It's going to be a lot easier to create a circle and manipulate it, but that's going to be for another day. But for this video I will show you how to make an arc and look at all of those different arc commands and see which one we can best use. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. Alright, now let's take a look and see what we have so far. Do we know the distance, or do we have all of the dimensions that we're going to need to create this? So I'm going to pull out my pen here, and I can see that all of these centers, and so you can imagine that each one of these lines are all connected, so all of the same heights are going to be 5. So we got that covered. We got the overall height here of 10. One of these questions that I kind of want you to analyze and think to yourself is, actually, how far is it from here to here? Now you're going to see on some drawings where they may give you this length here, and they may do away with this radius. So if you have this length, you don't actually need this radius. But what I want you to do is kind of look and see how far that is. When you see the word radius, that means that it's going to be the distance from this center out to any part on this circle. Okay, so that's super important. So that tells me that the distance from this center to that quadrant or midpoint of that arc should be 5. That's really super important that you kind of understand this concept, because on some drawings they will give you this radius, sometimes they will not. Another thing that you can look at is that you see that the total length between this line and this line is 10. One of those other things that you're going to find out is that the radius is going to be half of this. This number here is actually the diameter of this circle. So if I was to complete a circle going totally around here, and once again, excuse my drawing, I'm kind of freehand sketching this. So if I was to complete this circle going all the way around, that diameter would be 10. So by just you knowing that that is 10, the radius is always half of the diameter, therefore it's going to equal 5. Alright, so enough of me kind of explaining and going through all of this, and I think we do have enough information, because we do have the diameter of all of those 3 circles, and we have our radius. So everything that we need to complete this drawing is here. Let's go ahead and switch over to AutoCAD and see what we can do. Some of the first things I like to do is always turn this grid off, which helps us out. So let's go ahead and click that off. My dynamic input is turned on. Once again, I'm going to go ahead and use ortho mode and leave that turned on. Remember that you can always hit the F8 button on your keyboard if you don't want to actually come down here and click on this. And we have our O snaps on. And let's see. Some of our running O snaps is endpoints and things of that nature. So we can get away with using this midpoint if we don't want to use rectangular coordinates, and I will show you that, which is going to be really super useful. Alright, so everything looks like it's set the way I want it. Let's go ahead and jump and do a line command. And what I'm going to do is create the outside of this. Meaning that I'm going to create these lines that goes around it first. And I'm going to intentionally start at this location because I'm going to leave this open. So we're going to create our arc after we create the outside lines here. So once I do that, again, and I'm just kind of repeating myself here, once I create this kind of rectangular shape with it open on one end, that'll leave me everything I need to do to go ahead and create that arc. Alright, so let's start with the line. I'll click this first point. And once again, I have my ortho on and I'm pointing this direction. Now I'm going to have to do a little bit of math, and I think I can handle this. I have 8, and then I have another 8, and then I have a 4. So if it's kind of, your mind is not thinking toward that, and your mind don't feel like adding these up, we're going to go ahead and use the calculator function to do that. Now, just kind of off the top of our head here, and let me grab my highlighter here. is that this number plus this one is 16, and then we add a 4. We can all see that that number is 20. But if these numbers had some weird decimals or things of that nature behind them, we're going to let AutoCAD figure that out for us. Although we can do this, and this is quite simple. So it doesn't give us the overall dimension there, but we can figure it out. So the first thing we want to do is make sure that our line is pointing the direction that we want. And then I'm going to type in the apostrophe key, followed by CAL. So apostrophe CAL. What that's telling me is to do is to stay in the line command, but now we're going to use the calculator. The most important thing here is always make sure that you preview in the correct direction. So once I hit enter, it's going to ask me to give me the expression. And I'm just going to type this in just like I would a calculator. I'll go 8 plus 8 plus 4. And once I hit enter, it's going to do the math for me. And if you look on my command line right where I'm at, it says that that number is 20, which is the number that we came up with in our head. Or when we calculated it when we was doing on the PowerPoint. So go up. Let's type in 10. Let's go back to the left. Let's type in 20. And for what we know right now, we'll go ahead and stop right here. Go ahead and hit escape. Now, ARC gives us a whole bunch of commands on how to do this, right? If we know 3 points or some of that stuff, but you're going to see that a lot of these, they are repeating each other. They're the exact same command, they're just in different orders. For example, start, center, end ARC is the same as the center, start, end. The most important thing that I want you to remember that when you're creating arcs is you have to create them in a counterclockwise motion. And what I mean by that is that if I want to create this arc going this direction, I have to start by selecting this endpoint first, and then I'll select this endpoint. Okay? If I do it backwards, if I select this endpoint and this endpoint, that arc will be on the inside. This is one of those things that will speed up your keystroke. So I'm going to choose start in radius. I'll pick my start point here. My end point is here. And then I can kind of move my cursor. I kind of like to move it up just off of that end point. And then I'll type in the radius, which is 5. And that arc should be completed. Okay? So make sure that you know in a counterclockwise rotation is the way you want to create those arcs. Next, we're going to use OSNAP tracking to create our 2 lines in the back. And I apologize, I said lines. I'm sorry. We're going to create our 3 circles, which are located here. And what we're going to do is we're going to track from this midpoint, and then we're going to go over this distance, and then we'll track from this center to that distance, and then we'll track from here. Okay, so let's go ahead and choose our circle, center diameter. Now this is the most important part. Do not click. Touch this triangle, come over this way, and you see the green tracking lines. Stay and make sure that those green tracking lines are there. Take your hand off the mouse, type in 4, enter, and then give it the diameter of that circle, which is 4, enter. Okay? Now let's go ahead and create another circle just like that. We're going to go to our circle center diameter. This time, I'm going to highlight the center, and you'll notice that on mine and probably on yours, the center is not coming up. Let's go ahead and make center one of our running OSNAPs, which is here, and it looks like it is turned on. So let's see how we can get that to show up. Let me click here. And now if I go to the circle, and you'll see that I'm not left clicking on it, I'm just touching parts of that circle. Once I get the center, I want you to stay on the center for a second. And then I want you to exit out of that circle kind of quickly and at a diagonal. So I'm coming out this direction, and I'll come down here. Once I have my tracking symbol, I'll type in 8, enter. It's the exact same size circle as the other one. So just go ahead and hit enter. And then do that one more time. So I'm just going to hit the enter button, and that's going to take me back to the circle command. I'm going to touch this center, and I'm going to kind of come out at an angle. Come down. Once I got the green tracking lines, I'll type in 8, enter, and it's the exact same size circle as the other one, so just go ahead and hit enter. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this one and learned a little bit about OSNAP tracking and also about arcs. Make sure the most important thing is making sure that you're doing it counterclockwise and that'll save you from having to go back and redo it or do something else. All right, so thank you for watching this video, and I can't wait to get to the next one.